What is up, everybody? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. My name is Chase Sr. It is a Sunday night, recording this show at halftime during this Rams-Seahawks NFC Championship game. On the AFC side, the New England Patriots in a snowstorm in Denver, able to outlast the Broncos. They're going to Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara, San Francisco in a couple of Sundays. And then on the NFC side, a really good one currently between the Rams and the Seahawks. Obviously, by the time that a lot of you watch this show on Sunday night or on Monday at some point this upcoming week, that game will be over. Speaking of that, I will be in Northern California, the Santa Clara, San Francisco area for Super Bowl 60 coverage. I'll be there with Chat Sports helping us out and bringing you some Eagles coverage. At the end of February going into March, I'll be in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. We'll interview Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman. Hopefully the Eagles have an offensive coordinator at that point. We'll be talking to draft prospects going into the 2026 draft, and of course talking with some people all across the NFL. And this is why you subscribe to the channel, because we're bringing you high-level Eagles coverage every single day, year-round. Big offseason coming up for the Birds, and I have you covered every step of the way. Also, don't forget to give me a follow on social media. You can find me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Chase_Senior. I'm on Facebook, Chase Senior Chat Sports. A lot of my coverage over there has been popping off of late. Wanted to do an Eagles offensive coordinator search update, so let's get into it here. A lot of developments throughout the weekend. My top candidate right now among the candidates who are available and realistic and possible for Philadelphia, former Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady. Buffalo told him a couple of days ago after they fired their head coach in Sean McDermott, who used to be the Eagles defensive coordinator and an assistant under Andy Reid with the Eagles, that the Bills were going to go elsewhere for their head coaching search, not go with Joe Brady. And so they told Brady, go see what you can get out there. He is a very desirable offensive coordinator candidate for some of the top OC jobs out there. He's looked at as one of the front runners for one and multiple of those jobs. But it looks like he could be getting a head coaching job, potentially. He has his second interview set up with the Las Vegas Raiders. This one's going to be in person. So clearly Las Vegas, their head coaching search, it's been all over the place. They're looking hard at Joe Brady. And I like what he's done with that Bills offense, taking over for Ken Dorsey, the former Miami quarterback from the early 2000s, great college player. And Ken Dorsey was a solid offensive coordinator after Brian Daboll. But with Joe Brady, I like what he's done from the sense of that Bills offense going from being less Josh Allen reliant with just throwing the football at a crazy clip to becoming more of a balanced offense. And with Ken Dorsey, their run game was inconsistent, and Ken Dorsey would get really pass happy. And so when Sean McDermott made the switch from Dorsey to Brady, we just saw a more well-rounded, balanced offensive approach. And that's led to the success of James Cook, who's emerged as one of the top running backs in football. So from a passing scheme standpoint and a running scheme point of view, I like what Joe Brady's done as a play designer, offensive coordinator, and a play caller. 36 years old, fast rising candidate, as we know. The Eagles do have a history with Joe Brady. They actually interviewed him when he was even younger in 2021 for their head coaching search. That, of course, went to Nick Sirianni. So at that point, they gathered some intel. And if they wanted him to be the offensive coordinator for this team, they have familiarity with him. But I'm not sure Joe Brady's going to take this job. Might get that Raiders head coaching job. Might go to another OC job that he sees as more desirable. His path as a coach, William and Mary, 2013-2014 as a linebackers coach. He was actually at Penn State 2015-2016 as a graduate assistant. He goes to the New Orleans Saints under Sean Payton. He's there 2017-2018 as an offensive assistant. And then when everybody started to really grasp how good he was as a coach, and when he started to pick up a lot of notoriety, it was with LSU in 2019 when the LSU Tigers won the national championship. That year, they had one of, if not the best seasons of any college football program ever. Joe Burrow won the Heisman, and he was incredible. And Joe Brady there was the passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach. That was probably the most dominant college football season that we've seen, definitely in recent memory, potentially all time. And I'm going to say it was better than Indiana's run this past year under Curt Cignetti. Indiana went undefeated. They were so impressive throughout the college football playoff. They blew everybody out until we saw a really good Natty this past Monday against Miami. And if Joe Brady wants to get that Raiders job, you have the number 1 overall pick. You can draft Fernando Mendoza. You get your quarterback who you can develop right away. And then obviously from a team building standpoint, everything can take off from there. Now, going back to Brady's path after LSU in 2019, he goes to the Carolina Panthers, and he was the offensive coordinator there 2020, 2021. And then he goes to the Bills after he was let go there. He may have overlapped with Frank Reich, if not Matt Rule. Both of them obviously have Philadelphia ties. Rule, Temple, Reich was the OC for the Eagles in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl. He becomes the Bills quarterbacks coach in 2022, 2023, and then the interim offensive coordinator in 2023. And then from that point forward, he's been the Bills OC. So we'll see what happens to Joe Brady. There hasn't been any chatter about the Eagles requesting to interview him or having any interest in him, but the Eagles search has kind of flown under the radar. Like, there have been some surprising names who have kind of surfaced from out of nowhere who we didn't think was or were originally in the mix, which then brings me to the next few names that we're going to get to here. The Eagles were denied permission to interview Cowboys offensive coordinator Clayton Adams for their OC opening. That report coming from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. And the Eagles probably thought that the Cowboys would allow Adams potentially to interview with the Eagles since he's not the play caller with the Cowboys. He might be the OC. He's not the play caller, though. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer holds that role. But Dallas, they are within their rights as an organization to block their division rival from taking Adams and even interviewing him. And Adams is now aware that the Cowboys denied him that path to a promotion. So maybe he gets some more cheddar. Maybe he gets a better title now that he's staying with the Cowboys. The Eagles' interest in him, not really a surprise to me. I mean, the Cowboys ranked 2nd in yards this past year, 7th in points. It was really their defense that was a huge problem, and they just hired Eagles defensive backs coach Christian Parker as their new defensive coordinator. Adams' name is of note because Nick Sirianni has familiarity with him. So he was the assistant offensive line coach for the Colts in 2019 and 2020. Nick Sirianni was there as the OC under Frank Reich and the wide receivers coach while he was with Indy. So Nick Sirianni knows him well, but unfortunately, Eagles aren't going to be able to interview him. Another update on the Eagles OC search, Bobby Slowick, who the Eagles interviewed, I believe it was on Thursday or Friday, is taking the Dolphins offensive coordinator job under Jeff Hafley. Slowick has coached on both sides of the ball, was with Kyle Shanahan forever. Washington, I believe Atlanta as well, San Francisco for sure. He became the Texans offensive coordinator during C.J. Stroud's rookie year, in which Stroud led the NFL, all quarterbacks, in passing yards and interception percentage. 2024 for Stroud wasn't great. Slowick got fired. Some of the offensive players from that Texans roster said we didn't have an identity on the offensive side of the football. D'Amico Ryans hinted at the offense really lacking a rhythm and a flow. But Slowick, coming up under Kyle Shanahan, spending last year under Mike McDaniel as the Dolphins pass game coordinator, I think he's an intriguing name. Plus, C.J. Stroud has been awful since he left. There hadn't been any public connection between the Eagles and Arthur Smith, the former Falcons head coach, Titans OC, and Steelers offensive coordinator the last 2 years. But reports on Saturday indicated that the Eagles had interest in Arthur Smith, but he's choosing to leave the NFL and move into the same role to be Ohio State's offensive coordinator under Ryan Day, kind of like that Chip Kelly route, where Chip Kelly was the OC 2 seasons ago for the Buckeyes when they won that national championship. Ryan Day, of note, was an Eagles assistant and a Chip Kelly guy, and obviously now he's one of the best head coaches in college football and won the national championship during the 2024 season. Am I worried about the Eagles offensive coordinator search? I know some of you might be voicing some concerns down in the comment section. I've seen some people talking about it on social media. I'm really not at all. Like, if Brian Dable and Mike McDaniel don't want the Eagles OC job and they've accomplished nothing close to Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, whatever, that's fine. The Eagles don't need a candidate like that. I think this Eagles OC job is very desirable, but the reason this is taking so long, it's not just about who the Eagles are trying to hire as OC going into 2026. What Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman do is they gather a bunch of intel. They research all of these candidates. They interview all of these people to get a better sense for where offense is heading in 2026 in the modern day. And when they gather all of that intel, that plays into one, who they'll hire, but two, what they want to do, who they want to be, the identity that they're going to have on offense, and the type of scheme that they're going to run. And when you're hiring somebody who's so important as an offensive coordinator, you have to make sure, especially with the Eagles being in this Super Bowl window right now with the veteran-laden team on offense, that you get the candidate and the hiring right. Because if you do, what have the Eagles done when they've had a competent offensive coordinator? Shane Steichen made it to the Super Bowl. Kellen Moore won a Super Bowl. You get a good offensive coordinator in here, it can get you back into championship contention. Clip that for the social team. I think that's a good YouTube short right there. Plus, some intriguing candidates are still in the NFL playoffs. They can't be interviewed right now. And so the Eagles might be waiting to interview a Nathan Shieldhouse, who's the pass game coordinator and a guru and a wizard for drawing up plays for Sean McVay's offense. So keep that in mind as well. All right. Just wanted to give you an offensive coordinator search update for Philadelphia here on this Sunday night, January 25th. Continue to stay safe with this crazy, wicked snowstorm, honestly impacting like half the country. I saw the bandwidth of that snowstorm. It was crazy. A lot of regions and areas of the country getting several inches. So stay safe out there. I'll be bringing you some content tomorrow, either from here, my home, or I'll be in the Chat Sports studios. I'll link up with producer Chip to see what we can do with this weather. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give me a follow. This is your go-to spot for the best Eagles coverage right here on YouTube. And we'll catch you soon. Peace. Go Birds.